showing what appears to be a so-called squeegee kid punching the driver of a vehicle in downtown Baltimore. WJZ is live. Sean Stryker tells us what led to that attack and what is being done to help make sure it doesn't happen again. Sean?
Yeah, Denise. Well, so far this year, the city has received 283 complaints regarding squeegee kids. The most recent, well, that happened just over there on the corner of Presidents and Lombard Street, and it was all caught on tape. A driver and squeegee kid. The video posted online drawing thousands of views and hundreds of comments, calling it crazy and sad.
It's disappointing.
This all happened after the victim got out of his car to confront the squeegee kid for smacking his window after being asked not to wash the windshield. Police stopped to hand out information on job training before telling them they had to move along.
We're working side by side with the Mayor's Office of Youth and Family Services to, number one, provide opportunities so those young men don't have to do that.
Mayor Brandon Scott says he will not clear squeegee kids off street corners, despite there being laws on the books he could use. He says squeegee kids are out there trying to make a living to support themselves and their families.
Timing.
He lifted up his shirt and there was a gun right there.
The latest incident happened here at Gay and Orleans Street, where an 18-year-old says squeegee kids surrounded his car, and when he attempted to pay them $1, the teen says they swiped his phone and stole $2,500 out of his Cash App.
But today, I decided to take some time out basically for me. I just say to everybody that's tuned in, make sure that you take time out for yourself. And you do not want to become codependent on nobody, period. Because when you become codependent on other people, they control your destiny. And for me, I only want God controlling mine. Okay? I'm only responsible for me. How about this here? How about this? I'm not even responsible for my children's, what they do. I'm not responsible. I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for me, for my own health. You see what I'm saying? I can only control me. I can't control nobody else.
Let's no. Get the hell away. Get away from the car. Hey, get the hell away from the car.
What?
I said get away from the car.
What the fuck? You get out the car. You get out the car. What? Get the hell away from the car. Get out the car.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rucha HaKwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of Great Millstone. Let me say also honors to you, brethren, in the truth, following in labor and sincerity. I also say from time to time, shalom to you few sisters, and shalom mainly to the elect. So anyway, I saw this video that popped up dealing with the squeegee kids here in Baltimore, which I go by them a lot on the way to camp. We pass through, and they sometimes in my mind I'm like, man, I hope I'll come to the red light. They go to the longest red lights, but then sometimes if we have $1 or we can help them, the young men, with something, because you don't know which ones are the grimy ones and which ones are the cool ones, because they'll hang in, the grimy ones will hang in a pack together, and the ones that's legitimately trying to make a hustle. I respect it in a sense, because when I'm old school. When I was young, that's how we worked. Except I grabbed a rake in the fall and raked leaves, and I cut grass, and I carried a shovel and knocked on doors. So times have changed, but there's no new thing under the sun, really, So this brings me to the point of the woman who says she doesn't have time for her children, right? This is clear that Eve has been absent. Eve has been allowed to put up the children for adoption and don't pay child support, right? They don't have to pay any child support for giving up their children. But a man's right is given up and taken, but he has to pay child support. Is that weird, But hey, that's what it is. They had a thing here in Baltimore called No Child Left Behind. if you ever look on the news, I'm sure it's happening everywhere. I'm just speaking relatively here, that more of these young men are being caught bringing guns to school. So it seems to be an attack on young men, and the media is perpetuating, the violence, or capitalizing off the violence of black men, so-called black men, and natives, Hispanics, and all the so-called ghettos shooting each other. This is why it's an attack on men, right? On these young so-called black men. That's where the attack is. It starts with the removal of the father and the removal of the mother as well, right? Because the mother is there. And they adding in the addition is adding gangster violence, gangster rap, right? Going all the way back with Ice-T, I remember, had his first album, or one of his albums, NWA, and then all the way up to Gucci Mane, and then now, whatever this is today, is still inciting violence. And it's always young men bragging and boasting about money and guns and drugs. What do you do to somebody's mind like that? Well, this is the outcome. And then here we have this woman who says, well, I only got time for myself. I ain't got time to be even worried about my children. So we clearly see that Matthew 10:35 is in effect. The Lord is going to separate families. The man's households, men's foes would be they of his own households. So and these young men just didn't wake up one day and became wicked. Well, they were born that way. The Most High sent them to be that way and down that path. But they were definitely not guided. And the ones who are guided, there's laws for that. Let's go to Deuteronomy 21:18. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, that's why I said here, if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son. So a lot of times when these women, they kick the man out, or they don't want nothing to do with it because Super Edom has stepped in and said, well, you know what, we're going to help you. You ain't going to depend on anybody. Just like this Eve is saying. Where'd you getting that from? I'm cold. I don't want to be codependent. Everybody depends on something, but she only depends on God, right? But that's in their money. In God we trust. That's why when they look at that money as a young little girl, that's her God, right? So she doesn't want to be codependent. So you can clearly see today you got a lot of stubborn and rebellious sons. It says, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, and he will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother, in the order, father and mother, lay hold on him and bring him out unto the elders of the city, unto the gate of his place. And they shall say unto him, unto the elders of the city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. It don't necessarily have to be food. It's the consumption abusively of rap, music, weed, smoke, hard liquor, and philosophies. It also says, and all the men of the city shall stone him with stones, that he die. So shalt thou put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. What this woman is speaking of is Christianity, modern Christianity. Don't you know if these laws was in some form of effect, and these Christians say throw out the laws, what if this law was still in effect? Would you really have these young men on this kind of level, I'll say that, running around and acting a fool like that? Now, we do know of stories in the Bible, like as I read some months back with Eli and his sons who went off, and the Lord still punished the father, right? Which don't normally carry the sins, but he said he wound up killing all of them, right? The sons and him, where he broke his neck. I believe that was in the story. Something like that. So the Lord is pronouncing judgment. So when you read the book of Hosea, it says, I will not punish you for your sins. Why did he say that? So you will continue to be accursed. If the Lord doesn't punish you, you will continue and the evilness will ramp it. It will ramp up. That's why everything is going the way it is, because the Lord is allowing it to continue. Right? The Lord is allowing all the madness to continue. Now, again, they had the thing here called No Child Left Behind, but the kids bringing guns to schools. You know, the woman don't want to be codependent, but only God. But then the Most High says for you to be a helpmeet to a husband. I don't know. You know, if you want to be by yourself, that's understandable in these days and times. But you shouldn't go around saying, I just want to be independent, realizing if you got an independence card, which is an oxymoron, how the hell are you independent if they give you an independence card for food stamps? I don't know. Anyway, Sirach 30:9. Conquer thy child. Well, let me go to 8. Well, this whole thing is good. A horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will become willful. And that's what they've managed to do even in Hollywood. Break a lot of Jake. But we're talking here. A child left to himself becomes willful. No control. I'm for myself. You do what you need to do. And then they would say, I've heard the Eve say it. They'll say, I ain't got time for his ass. He going to do this and do that. But then when their same young men go out there and commit havoc and try to shoot other women, then the women get mad, right? These women get mad at these young men, right, for coming off, attacking them and trying to shoot them. Well, really what they should be mad at in a whole is themselves, because that's still someone else's son, right? That son is somebody's mother. But they won't go to the root. And I believe even Mayor Brandon Scott, he said he from the hood. He from up here at Park Heights. He's a thug that turned his life around. I remember him saying in an interview, and all the black women are complaining. All the Eves complaining. And he said, well, where you at? Ain't you mothers? And they had a fit and cut it. And, I don't know if he apologized or whatever. It says, anyway, laugh not. It says, conquer thy child, and he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he will bring thee into heaviness. And this is why you'll see a lot of the mothers with their daughters and their best friends painting each other's nails, going to the boutique, enjoying each other's company as mother and daughter, which really is best friends, right? The sons, the fathers and the sons. The fathers are going around with the sons, going to basketball games and enjoying life and acting as though they're best friends. Not saying that you can't go with your son to a game or an event, but they're going together almost as if they're on the same level. They're behaving the same way, the same mannerisms, letting him pretty much talk all kind of trash, and then he laughs and joke with him. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, it goes on to say, laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow with him, and lest thou gnash thy teeth in the end. So clearly we can see that feminism, right, that's the best way to say it, feminism has not done Eve very well. Right? You're working hard, you're busting your ass to pay your bills. You ain't got time for a son, right? You ain't got time to be worried about what he do. I can only worry about my mental health. I don't know. This is the scriptures do say what it say. The eye shall be evil towards the son, the father and the son. Part of your mental health, part of your existence, part of your well-being is to love your child and bring your children up the right way. But maybe if you're not brought up the right way, how can you do that? Give him not liberty in his youth, and wink not at his follies. Nobody's going to punish them. They're going to say all Christian. The Easter, they're all going to run up in the church. They're going to have the shiny shoes and the necktie. In fact, they go into church like it is with a blunt behind their ear. I mean, that's what they do now. Nobody's going to do anything. Everybody's going to make excuses. And then they're going to say Eve has it, the mother has it hard. Right? Which mothers have been. But there's a whole lot of mothers, and I can account and know one right now that did a damn good job to the best of their ability to raise her son. My foster mother did the best she could. She whipped my ass. Maybe that was old school. But she did what she needed to do. Now it's like, I just go get me a Chick-fil-A sandwich when I get off work. I ain't cooking shit. You cook your own shit. You go out in the streets and hustle and squeegee your ass some couple dollars. You on your own. Now, if they was raised right in a particular time, yeah, they'll be old enough. They'll be on their own. A 14-year-old ain't no 14-year-old nowadays in this new age, man. He still got the minds of like 9-year-olds. That's what it is. Proverbs 29:15. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. All right? Out of control. All this woman wants is to be left alone. She wants her own peace. She don't want to be responsible for nothing. Although she made all the moves and all the grooves and everything else for her to have that child, right? Bring the child in the world, take advantage of the perks that she can get from having this child, probably from the husband. I can't say in her case. But clearly there's something going on when she say, hey, I don't want to be a co-parent or a codependent or co-anything. I'm just for myself. And in all the comments, it's sick. Everybody's condoning it. Everybody's saying it's such a great thing. Worry about yourself. But Jake is being blown away, just like Exodus, the 2nd chapter, when a Pharaoh put hell on the Israelites, right? And then wanted the firstborn sons to be killed. And why was it the sons? So not only do you got the parent plan thing, now you got guns. That's like throwing knives in people's, putting them in people's drawers for them to kill themselves. You gave an instrument of cruelty just for them to kill themselves. Now, this ultimately from the Lord. The Lord set it up. The Lord allowed it. But I just wanted to go in this. I just think is what it is. The Most High is bringing judgment. But we see the Queen of Heaven in this feminist thing has come back to haunt them. So the very energy they put out there and let them say, hey, I'm dependent, I don't need nobody, those are the same ones that got to worry and then worry about somebody else's son coming harming them. And in this midst of equality, when a man jumps out the car, I don't know why he did that, knowing these guys got guns or whatever. But in the midst of that, why didn't the other women jump out in the back seat to help him? I mean, they'll say if it was a woman jumped out, the men's supposed to jump out and protect the black woman or protect the woman. Why isn't anybody protecting him? And if they woman and they accept being woman, that's fine. But if they accept being equal, why don't the women jump up and step out there and protect men? I don't know. But that's the society, man. That's all I have on that. Shalom.